everybody, just got done watching 1986's Flight of the Navigator, starring Joey Kramer, Cliff DeYoung, Veronica Cartwright, Sarah Jessica Parker, and the voice of Paul Rubens. I have to warn you, my cat's going berserk chasing after a fly at the moment, so if the camera suddenly topples over, it's her fault. I have watched this movie so many times. It's one of those go-to movies of mine, and I could probably quote the crap out of this thing. Even as a child, seriously, my mum would tell me to do something and I'd be like, compliance, and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, you just can't help but do. You are the navigator. But if you don't know this movie, you're probably sat there going, the fuck is she going on about? So basically, well, why the fuck don't you know what this film is? So this is a classic sci-fi kids movie. Basically, it's a story of David, played by Joey Kramer, who goes through the woods to go get his brother from a friend's house. Except he goes missing, is presumed dead, but then turns up 8 years later. Everybody's aged, but he hasn't aged, and to him, he was only gone like a few hours at tops. So he goes back to the house, and his family's not there, and stuff like that. And then it turns out that what happened is he was part of an experiment, if you will. He was taken by a sentient spaceship, voiced by Paul Rubens. And it's just basically like, you know, NASA and that are performing tests on the boy and on the spaceship at the same time, and then they come together, and it's really cheesy and cliched. And I mean, they even make a reference to E.T. at one point with about phoning home. But seriously, this movie is awesome. It is cheesy. It is tacky at times. The ending is a little bit rushed, and yet at the same time, you couldn't expect anything more from it. You're just like, there's nothing more they could have done. I guess my main problem with this would be Paul Rubens, who's like the role he's well known for is Pee Wee Herman, and Max, the spaceship, the kind of robot that's inside the spaceship. He does this whole very robotic voice at the beginning. Like I say, it's all compliance and stuff like that. But then he does a mind read of David, because David's got star charts packed in his head that Max lost when he crashed into an electric pylon. So Max needs to get the star charts back. So he reads David's mind, but he picks up a lot of pop culture and other, you know, like human stuff that's in David's head. So then he starts acting all quirky and making pop culture references, and like he's, you know, at one point David's like, oh, we're in Texas, and Max is like, oh, they're a cowboy, and stuff like that. It's like, okay. But he does keep doing that kind of Pee Wee Herman laugh, you know, slash, kind of just that voice, and it gets a bit grating at times. I can't explain it. As a kid, I didn't really know Pee Wee Herman. I was aware of the laugh, but the voice didn't grate on me as much. It has over time though. And this time I was a lot more aware of it. So I did get a bit more conscious of it this time around. But it's still enjoyable. This movie is so quirky and silly, and I feel bad because I love Veronica Cartwright's work, and she's so underused in this. But you know what? The kid's an excellent actor. The kid playing David is brilliant. You do feel that emotion. You actually feel more emotion from him than the parents that just got their child back from 8 years of presumed death. And that's annoying as well, because I've seen Clifton Young in quite a few roles, and I wouldn't say he's an excellent actor, but I have seen him getting his acting chops around some good roles. So it's kind of frustrating for me to kind of see him and, like I say, Veronica Cartwright just completely like, ah, great, yeah, boo the military, yeah. They're my main nitpicks, but like I say, if you have kids, please subject this movie to them. Please subject them to this movie ASAP. You cannot bring kids out without seeing this movie. Although it does have a couple of rude words in. I'm pretty sure at one point, David's brother, he was younger brother, but he's grown up. I'm sure, I can't remember off the top of my head for definite, but I'm pretty sure he said shit at one point. Which is funny because this is a Universal rated movie. Yeah. But, it's funny to see Sarah Jessica Parker in this, because she's so much younger, and I'm not a big fan of her acting at all, but I enjoyed her in this role. So, everybody's good at acting. The puppetry in it is brilliant. It's amazing how the, robot head of Max, it's just like a sphere within a metal frame. And yet you feel so much for it, just with a few small kind of movements of the metal frame. You get emotion out of it, and that's really bizarre. And we're getting back to the practical effects thing, but when you think now, if this movie was remade now, it would all be CGI'd. And while the door of the ship opens up and it kind of melts into these steps, floating steps. Now the melting bit of the steps is it does look dated, that bit. Especially even comparing it to, say, something like Terminator 2. But I tell you, even now it sounds really silly. Especially considering, like I say, the technology we have now. But those floating steps are still pretty convincing. I think there was only one shot when they're at the gas station where they stop off en route to finding David's family, where you can see reflection on the back of the metal, where you can see green, which I assume is the green screen that didn't get cleared out in post-production. But otherwise, the effects are really good. Like I say, everything, the pacing is good. It's only an hour and 25 minutes long, and yet, although the end does kind of feel rushed, quite a lot happens in this movie. It's one of those movies where a lot happens, and you're surprised by how short a movie it is. So, please, if you like sci-fi, fantasy, like I say, it's cliched in the same vein as stuff like E.T. It is kind of funny in a way, watching this, and there are episodes of The X-Files that are very reminiscent of this, particularly stuff like Fallen Angel and whatnot. I think the fact that the age difference between the two siblings is 4 years, the same as Mulder and his sister, is kind of funny. But you know what, as well, when David first gets reunited with his family, and they're shocked because they thought he was dead, there's a TV series out at the moment called Resurrection, and it completely reminded me of that. I guess a lot has paid homage to this movie in a way. And it could just be that this is stolen elements from other stuff that people have been copying. But the point is, this is a good, fun movie along the lines of stuff like E.T., etc. And if you want a good afternoon watch, it's not funny or that, it's just fun. So I do recommend, without question. Like I say, I've seen this so many times before and I never tire of it. So yeah, just please do check out 1986's Flight of the Navigator. That was tonight's movie. We'll be back again tomorrow with another one. But for now, this is Sketch, signing out.